Already Friday, the Friday edition of Real Talk with Keith Smith. As we've highlighted on Monday and this week, Keith and his wonderful family are in St. Martin, I believe through the end of next week. Is that right, Judah? I think through the end of next week. But have no fear, Woody Fincham and Candace are here. And today's talk show is just going to be dynamite. Woody has the gift that I'll say many appraisers do not, in that he's able to take very technical terminology and topic matter and make it approachable. Furthermore, he's able to deliver it in understandable fashion, which is unique to his profession. Candace, if she wasn't a talented realtor, I sincerely mean this, Candace, would have been a rock star broadcaster. Because she has got the gift, you got the gift of gab, I think that's fair. And she's also very adaptable with her conversational topics. She knows a lot about a lot of things. She's got street smarts, she's got book smarts, she knows how to put a deal together, she's great with people, which is just fantastic for a host like me, because I can stay out of the way and just keep tempo. Judah Wickower is the guy behind the camera. He makes us look good and allows us to do what we like to do, just talk.
Yes.
I'd say that's one of the things we like to do, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've been praised for talking so much. I'm like, I'm going to go home. My family's going to be so mad at you.
I think you're a great talker. I mean, it's a talk show, so talking is important.
Touché, yes.
Viewers and listeners, give the show a like and a share anywhere you are watching. Like the show, share the show. Realtors, sit back, ask questions. Mortgage brokers, appraisers, inspectors, join us in the conversation. Neil Williamson, hello. TJ Fadley, hello. Bill McChesney, hello. Janice Boyce-Trevelyan, hello. Sarah Wise, hello. Thank you for joining us in the program. Kristen Smith, Lisa Costello, Juan Sarmiento, Olivia Branch, the Queen of Keswick, hello and welcome to the program. Scott Thorpe, the commercial broker, hello. Todd Raff, the owner of Blue Toad Hard Cider, hello. Tom Powell, welcome to the program. Judah, we can rock and roll when you are ready, my friend. Good Friday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk with Keith Smith. Thank you kindly for joining us. We are live wherever you get your social media or your podcasting content, and the show is dynamic, where we encourage you, the viewer and listener, to shape the discussion and ask us questions. That's what we love to do on this network. Keith Smith and his family in St. Martin through next week, getting some R&R. Woody Fincham and Candace are in the house, however, and I think this program is going to be absolutely a rock star performance over the next hour and change. Judah's the director. If we can go to the studio camera in the 3-shot, and let's welcome personalities that are known commodities in the Central Virginia market. Ladies first, Candace, good Friday to you. How has the week been treating you?
Good Friday to you as well. Great week so far. Kids, school, homework, all really good things. Shout out to Greer, if I may.
Please.
Principal Sanders, hoorah. Every one of the staff knows all the kids. They're so helpful. I love it. The bus driver, everybody. It takes a village. Yeah, and I love being a part of this village. So thank you for helping the biggest part of my world, my little babies, and educate them so I can be out here and help educate you guys on my favorite topic, which is real estate.
I love it.
Valuations, and with my favorite people. So thank you for letting me be here today.
Absolutely, our pleasure. Stephanie Wells Rhodes giving us some props. She says, good morning and happy Friday to everyone from the Interstate Service Company family. Interstate is a home's best friend and a trusted partner of the real estate community. Here's another trusted partner of the real estate community, and it's Woody Fincham of Fincham & Associates. My friend, how has the week been for you?
We've been very busy. We're quite a bit of divorce work going on the last couple of weeks, which I hate to hear anytime a marriage is dissolving, but I'm glad that we're able to step in and offer good advice to folks on that. And just all kinds of crazy stuff going on. We just finished up some big investor packages that we've been working on, and just steady VA and our Veterans Administration work coming in for veteran borrowers, and just all kinds of crazy stuff going on. So, got a big white paper we're working on as well that we'll be able to push out here, hopefully in the first quarter.
We're at that unique point of the market where if something potentially goes under contract, maybe it has an opportunity to close in 2023, but perhaps most likely is going to fall into the first quarter of next year, unless it's a cash deal. Those can close a bit faster. I'll get out of the way and go to the experts. Woody, how do you characterize the market as we know it right now?
The market's still humming along like it has been, I think. I think we're seeing seasonality coming back into the mix a bit, like we were talking about last week on the show, meaning that days on market are getting a little bit longer. We're starting to see a little bit more participation from sellers with concessions in certain markets, and then the active days on market are starting to tick up. But a lot of that's being, I say it's ticking up, but some of that's because there are some properties that are just overpriced right now. They're just kind of sitting there. So, very healthy market overall, as far as my opinion goes.
Dylan's Rule on Twitter giving us some props. Candace, the show is yours on that topic.
No, I love it. A couple key things. So just a little brief history. I just adore this person sitting to the left of me. I don't know on camera if you're to my left, but we were in the Pat Jensen Leadership Academy this past year, and it was just so wonderful. And Elizabeth Mendenhall, we got to see her twice, and she was here this past weekend as well. Anyway, long story short, the identifying the needs and the motivation level, and in any time, one of the things that she had said a few times this past week was that change is movement. And there are sometimes a need for change, and a need for people to literally move or relocate. So I think it all boils down to, days on market, price per square foot. When we look at, I love the graphs that Woody came up with in presenting the different charts and things, that the motivation level you can see when something is not priced for the condition and location, then it is going to sit longer.
Yep. And
no matter what price it is, if the floor plan doesn't work for somebody, then it's not going to work for them. Maybe at a certain price point you could make it work. So I think that the motivation level is key, and identifying, from my role, at least in perspective, being honest and communicative with my clients on listing their home so it will appraise appropriately, and looking at the comps and the value market that we have in paper tangible form, but also talking to people about what is their goal in life. Do you want to go to St. Martin a couple times a year? Well, maybe you want to downsize into a home that's less maintenance and care, and you have an HOA fee. And you're scared because you've never had an HOA fee, and you've never done this or never done that. Well, what is it that your lifestyle is going to produce for you? So let's price your home appropriately so you can sell it, maybe less than what in your mind you think you have to have, but what's that 3 extra months of happiness and joy and seeing your grandkids and doing the things that you want to do? How much does that value? So I think valuation really comes into it with pricing our homes, but also for me as a realtor, talking to my clients about what the value is and what their future plans are, goals or motivation level or needs if they do have to move.
For sure.
Great start to the show. Woody Fincham has some knowledge to share with us. I will take a back seat, Professor Fincham, and before I do, Tanya Velas giving you some props. Zeke
awesome.
Mora, Sandra Hard giving you some props. Judah's got slides ready to rock and roll, so we'll adapt to the professor right here.
Yeah, I prepared a little bit of market data information. I know usually when I'm on with Keith, we do kind of more of a macro level market at the county level or even regional level, but there's 2 really big neighborhoods that transient isn't the right word, but they have a lot of volume over the course of a year. And so one of the ones I just kind of picked out of the ether to talk about a little bit was Spring Creek. And Spring Creek specifically, it's the western part of Louisa. It's still very much Charlottesville, because Louisa can go into Richmond very quickly, and even part of Orange County and Fredericksburg, that MSA as well.
Gated community.
Yep.
Right
Gated
off
community.
Interstate 64.
Yep.
By the Walmart and Lowe's.
Yep, it's a great little place, a very popular place. But the market that we're going to just take a little dive into real quickly is the resale market. It's not the new construction market. New construction's still going along famously out there. We're doing a lot of new construction lending work out in that region. I'll just give a shout out to one of my colleagues, Todd Jenkins, over at Gray Fox Mortgage. Him and his team are doing a lot of the lending work over there. But Judah, if we could use chart 1, we'll just put that up on the screen. What we've got in chart 1 here, everybody, is it's basically just an overview of the market. And I'm assuming that all this will be available on Real Talk on the website.
Yep.
So you can download and take a look at it at your leisure. But the market's going along pretty healthily out there. If you look at, we'll move over to chart 2 when Judah can get it on, but it's humming along very good. If you look there, this is a chart that's showing the price per square foot over the last 3 years. It's continued to rise, and each of the bars represent a 90-day period of time. So it's not quarterly, but it is a 90-day period. And prices have continued to go up. Even the months when it wasn't as high as the previous month, it's still heading in a positive direction, which is pretty much what we're seeing across the region for the most part. Sales days on market, definitely they're starting to tick up, but this last 90-day period, we saw a pretty big jump for sales, which is indicating the market might be slowing down a little bit, but again, that could be seasonality. We won't know if it really is seasonality until we get another 90 days out, but maybe even 180 days, because hindsight's always 20/20 in what we do. It's hard to say what's going to happen tomorrow. But what I wanted to really draw attention to is chart number 6, which is our days on market for actives currently. And what this is showing is that we are definitely seeing an uptick on the days on market. And the interesting thing that goes along with this, and this is getting really hyper nerdy as a real estate analyst and appraiser.
I like that.
I do.
But if Judah, if we can throw chart 7 up, I always watch these two metrics more than anything to see what the market's getting ready to do. The first one was days on market for actives, but then we got our seller contribution percentages. How many sales are occurring, or is there an increase in the occurrence of seller concessions? And it looks like that's staying pretty strong. On chart 7 is definitely showing us that we're seeing contributions right around the 2.5% to 3% mark, which is pretty typical of the market we were in pre-COVID. COVID, a lot of the concessions just kind of went away because it's strong seller's market. Still a seller's market, but Candy, what are you seeing out there? Concessions are a big thing.
It is, and in any market, especially then, there were not as many seller concessions seen. I think there were a lot of ways that people were able to be creative with their lender. If they did need seller concessions, maybe they were able to increase the price if their approval was there and in place for that price increase. I think that there are, also the seller taking care of things, doing the well pump, doing a septic pump and well testing and doing things like that. So I think now, it really has been a buyer's market for a little while, meaning I think that the perception of what a buyer is looking for, if it isn't absolutely perfect, and even when it is, there's not a huge rush. There's not a feeling of urgency on their behalf, I find, and even like, oh, this is the perfect house, but, we'll wait and see what happens in the spring. And whereas with the bidding wars and all that craziness, it was far more difficult because there was still lack of inventory, and that was the reason there were bidding wars, is because there were more buyers than homes to sell. Very simple math. It doesn't add up. Well, now there are still low inventory concerns that we see, but the buyers are also not overly anxious or motivated to put pen to paper. And I think that come the spring, we're going to see an increase in in listed active properties. And as I've seen as well, people that are coming off for the holidays, if it's been on the market for a longer, extent of time, let's just wait and come back on in the spring. So I think we are going to see a good increase then, which will ultimately make it a little bit more competition for the buyers as well. So if there's a buyer, currently that is considering, I would say if that property fits most all those boxes, go ahead, because we have comps to value it. Sellers are usually pretty motivated in offering those concessions. And again, making sure that your realtor knows and puts together the appropriate contingencies along those lines. What types of inspections you want to hold and what those time frames are. Making sure that I haven't seen a lot of early occupancy, where somebody needs to move in ahead of time. Financing has been pretty quick and convenient. Appraisals are not taking a long time. It's funny, we look back through the years ago, okay, what was happening? Oh yeah, I remember when that problem. One of the things too, Stephanie, shout out to you guys, and Robbie, oh my God, what realtor doesn't love Robbie? But, whenever we call and we need a well test or a septic test, or oh no, it was a certain type of loan that we switched to, and now we need extra testing done. These things are common for a realtor. This is something, like I tell my clients, I've done this, hundreds of times. These are things that we can kind of expect along the way, and having a good connection with our colleagues and our affiliates is definitely the way we can do that, to make sure that that our buyers and our sellers are getting the best of what we're telling them we're here to do.
Candy, you make me tired just listening to you.
That was fantastic. That was great.
I had my real estate license for all of 2 years to sell when I was still living in Hampton Roads, and you're a good example of why I can't do it. It's just I like numbers. I like looking at the data. I like all of that. But listening to you, it sounds like you're doing 12 things at any given time. And I'm not. I can multitask, but I can't do that. That's
well, again, that's the thing of we're usually, again, and that's what with all of the, I love the positivity of getting back to the ground zero, and our local associations is what I can speak on behalf of. And here we have such a connection with our community and with all of the people that, again, and when somebody is selling their home, we rely on HVAC technicians and plumbers and electricians. We rely on so many people to get the word out and spread. It's kind of like, heavens forbid, thankfully, one of our colleagues lost a dog, and because of social media and posting and broadcasting and getting the word out there, the dog was found safe and back home. I kind of liken that to what we do, is that we need to be connected, and so that we have this network of people when something unexpected comes up, and we know it's going to take 5 extra days to get the test back because it's got to go to Richmond, and our clients don't understand, well, why are we now not able to close on time? So we rely on our colleagues and talking to our appraisers and our lenders, our clients, and making sure that we can, our pest control companies, to make sure that these things can be done in a timely fashion. And when concessions are needing to be done, we have a general concept of what it's going to entail. Oh, we need to shock a well. I have no idea. I'm a bookkeeper. I sit behind a desk and I do papers, and I'm a numbers person. I don't know what shocking a well means. Well, okay, let me tone it down a little, explain it to you, and here's Stephanie, call her. She's amazing. She'll talk you through it, and they can come out and do it. Again, it's trust, it's communication, and concessions are one of those things. I'm on my soapbox now. Y'all shut me up.
I like it. No, keep going. This is fantastic.
No, but that's what we need this, and I am not for everybody. Thank God. There are people who are calm and stoic, as Woody says, and able to analyze those numbers in a not so excitable fashion, because it all adds up in the end for what is best for our clients and making it a win-win for everybody to get to the finish line.
You are fantastic in a talk show. Candace is dropping some bombs right here. So this is coming in on the feed, and viewers and listeners, jump in the mix. You guys have probably seen this over the last few days circulating on social media. I've seen this on mortgage brokers' pages, on realtors' pages. For every 1% rate drop, 8 million new buyers enter the market. Spring could be crazy. Again, I'm looking at Jamie's page here from Brick and Mortar. I saw this on Scott's page.
Yeah.
Highlighted a version of this. Rates are dropping. What's the expectation of a potential bonanza or frenzy created by rates dropping? I'm seeing stuff in the low sevens. I heard through the grapevine a certain loan product in the high sixes.
Oh, wow.
Thoughts coming with the first quarter. Some folks are saying it's going to be mid sixes, and a lot of folks are saying that we could have that frenzy because there's been this hiatus or people sitting on the sidelines to list and sidelines to potentially buy, waiting for some kind of change in rate circumstances. You guys are the pros. I'll get out of your way on this topic. Woody, why don't we start with you on that one?
Well, we're starting to trend downwards on the rates. I don't know that they've moved quite a bit enough yet to really, get someone really willing to jump in with both feet. Folks that are waiting, I mean, you're moving a few basis points here or there. That's probably not enough for most home consumers to really look at and say, hey, well, let's get back in real strongly. It will definitely increase competition, though, particularly moving into the spring market. As history has taught us, spring is always going to be our ramping up market with volume. My big concern with the region more than anything else, and I mention it every time I come on, is just attainable housing for folks. The folks that really need to be able to move that are below that. If you're not able to buy a $450,000 home right now, this is a hard region to buy in. Period. That and with the investor proliferation we have, I mean, we always have a strong rental market here for single families and duplexes and tris and quads. And when those properties come on, they get gobbled up immediately, whether it's going to be an owner occupant or an investor coming in. So it's very competitive when you're at that price point and below. So when it's going to open up more above that for sure. But I don't know. I don't see it until we get closer to the 5.5-6% market. I don't know that we're going to see a whole lot of change.
I'll throw this to you, Candace, from a mortgage broker, Michael Buchensky of First Heritage Mortgage. He's got multiple comments in the feed. Before I do, I'll highlight Bill McChesney watching the show, Katie Pearl watching the program, Tyler Berry, hello, thank you for joining us. Josh Griffin, thank you for joining us. Neil, jump in with questions. Michael Buchensky, First Heritage Mortgage, watches the program often. Coach B, we've dubbed him. We value his opinion and the service he provides at First Heritage Mortgage. He says, we have a new program alert. 1% down, no MI, conventional loan, 620 minimum credit, primary home only, max 350,000 loan amount, 80% AMI for income max. Point is, lenders are coming out with more aggressive programs to help buyers. This is great. And he says, Woody and Candace, in 2024, mark this down, low sixes and high fives with the interest rate from First Heritage Mortgage.
I hope he's right.
Awesome.
Yeah, so anywhere you want to go on this topic with rates dropping and your crystal ball on how that's going to impact things.
Yeah, I mean, obviously human beings are accustomed to wanting more bang for their buck, right? Everybody wants more for less. I think that is just inherent
That's
in
the
our
American
DNA.
way.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So looking at things, again, I'm like preaching to the choir here, but condition for the location has to match the price. Period. If the greater pool of buyer demographic is really interested in a specific thing, like Woody had brought up, identifying less of a massive scale, but down to a micro scale of Spring Creek and Forest Lakes, or taking into consideration, let's say, uniform communities that have amenities and standard features. Right? So we have a way to price and identify certain types of things, main level living, 2-story homes, large yards, smaller yards, pool, tennis courts, sidewalks, what is being put into this community, and looking at the value of that. So it's really interesting because the low, the median, and the high on all price points. I'd say across the board.
Okay.
Let's say a community that is of similar status and over 80 homes in it that have amenity features that make it uniform.
Okay.
So we have, garages, hardy plank siding or vinyl siding. We have main level living homes or homes with basements and 3 stories. Usually around the area when builders and developers do their thing, it's going to be like obviously the city is a little different with interspersed single family dwellings, but looking at Woody's example of going into specific communities that are very similar in size, obviously size, material,
And we can cue
year
up that
of
chart if you want it,
construction.
if you give Judah the number.
Oh, for sure.
Chart 1, I guess. And
Well,
I
we
was
haven't
looking
looked at the
at
Forest
those.
Lakes data. You want to jump over to that, Judah? We can.
And I didn't mean to interrupt, Candace.
No,
That way
that-
we can give a visual to the viewers and listeners.
Yeah. So ultimately, all in all, what I was, kind of presenting is that although there are a few properties that will be motivated seller and they price it really aggressively and sell it quickly, and it's a price that is not common to that community, and then you have other homes that are on the other spectrum where they are really overbuilt, really, updated, and the materials, like I always, think about, I'm not an appraiser, obviously. Thank you for doing what you do. But looking at the materials, if Pearl has come in and done a fantastic job, that is a really great selling feature that a seller can present. So making sure that the property is updated to the extent of the price you're seeking, and then the appraisal will come in value, and the whole community, because they are similar with material and size and year built and all that fun stuff, then we have this cohesive growth in that community. And typically in those types of communities, we don't have massive outliers. We have a low, I'm looking at the Spring Creek chart just because I couldn't, chart 1.
And Judah, I told you the wrong
Forest
number too.
Lakes
It's 9,
one.
not 6. I'm being a little dyslexic this morning.
But looking at 121 sold properties, the low, and this is a Spring Creek chart 1, the low is 238, the high was 780. I mean, come on. But the average and the median are within, a very small margin. It's 485 range, which is still pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
For a, starter home for anybody. But looking at that, of those 120 plus homes sold, there's a few crazy, there's a few that are opportunistic, but realistically, what a buyer's looking for in that range is going to be priced less than $500.
Yeah.
So if you're updated enough that you're not seeping heat out the windows and the roof is falling over and the chimney's half crooked, if you're not in that condition, then you should be really pricing it appropriate for where the community is telling you. Now, if you've gone overboard and you've got gold-plated floors throughout, I would call Woody before you list it and see kind of what we're looking at.
We do get calls for that quite often. Super adequacy is an issue that it's common in residential real estate. Folks, they watch HGTV, which in my household, my wife watches it whenever she wants. And shout out to my wife, Lori. She's at home watching right now with her dog, Fergus.
We love you, Lori. And I just got to know, or I just was introduced through Woody, your dog, Fergus. Sounds like an amazing dog, the Australian Shepherd. In fact, little fun fact about the Fincham family, they have 3 Australian Shepherds, and
We
2
do.
of them are sisters from different litters. So
Yep.
he's got a dog pack at the house. Did you know that?
Wow, I did not.
I did
we have
not
a lot
know
more
that.
to talk about.
I
Yeah,
know. I love Australian Shepherds. They're fantastic.
I get to
dogs.
meet a lot of dogs, and what I do, as you do as well, because
Yes.
you're always going to people's homes. And I always looked at I'm getting completely off subject, but I used to look at people that were dog people as kind of weird. And just go, because my mom and dad were both farm kids.
Okay.
They grew up on farms, so animals were more utilitarian than
Outside?
right,
Yeah.
right, kind of thing. And growing up, all our dogs pretty much stayed outside, which would horrify me now. But
Seriously, me too.
but
Now your dog is on your lap.
yeah. We got my Blue, who's my dog. She's the oldest of the 3, and brought her home, and she just latched on. Australian Shepherds latch onto one person. They love the whole family, but they have their person. And so she latched onto me, and it's just like all of a sudden I'm just like one of these weird dog people now, which, makes life a whole lot better, actually. So I forgot what we were talking about.
We were talking about gold-plated floors.
Super adequacy, yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
So, we deal with that quite often where, and a potential listing will come up for an agent, and they meet that homeowner who is positive they have the absolute best piece of property in a subdivision or neighborhood, and they are, insistent upon listing it way high. Most real estate professionals have been doing this for a while will tell you overlisting is not good because you'll stay on the market longer if the market conditions aren't perfect for it, and you'll get stigmatized. And the longer you sit, people are going to start going, everything else is selling in a week. You've been on the market for 45 days. There's something not right here. And there could be nothing wrong at all. But, because it was mispriced, the market just starts looking at it in an odd way. So it does get somewhat stigmatized. But, we see properties all the time where, like, someone will buy a property and 2 years later they're reselling it. And in the meantime, they had put in a $75,000 pool area. Well, most markets aren't appreciating at that level. So if you've done something like that, you may not be able to get a return on your investment because you're moving too quickly. The market hasn't caught up with what you've done. So it can become a problem. And we like to come in and help in that situation where, because oftentimes it's hilarious to me. I'm no more intelligent at what I do than what Candy does at her job, but she'll get a hard-headed seller and she'll tell them exactly the same thing I end up telling them, but I'll bring in all these charts and graphs and narrative that we do, and then they'll go, okay, the appraiser said this, so we'll go with what the appraiser said, and it's literally the same thing that the agents told them. So it's crazy.
Accountability and credibility too, and that's why I enjoy being able to work with such professionals that we have here. Is because, who else am I going to entrust somebody that I've put my time, energy, and effort into, wanting to help through this process. I can then, hand them to Woody, hand them to, a professional and say, hey, why don't you, without my voice in the mix, why don't you say what information you can present? And that is a really good thing. I have conversations often with people, like you said, well, we did this and we did that and we did the other and it cost this. Are we going to get our money back? That's a great question. In some way. Did you get, again, the value proposition?
Quality
Did
of life
you enjoy
enhancement.
that?
Right.
Yeah. For the 3 months you got to enjoy that new Wolf oven and the deck and the pool and the all those wonderful things. That's great. And the best part of all is that may be a feature that is super attractive to more buyers out there looking in the market.
Right.
So maybe you're not going to get, dollar to dollar isn't going to be the same. It's not the same seashell you're passing around. However, somebody looking at your home versus a neighboring home who in the same community, same year built, same size builder, floor plan, features, all of that, but then they go, oh, wait a minute, but this one's already done. I don't need to add the deck.
Yeah.
So even though they're not by dollar, maybe they'll give you asking price at what is appropriate versus trying to haggle down because they're going to do that next door if they get that one.
And then you got the quality of life enhancement.
Yeah.
Totally.
There you go. So you break
Totally.
even on price, but then you have the experience that you can share with your family that is timeless and priceless. Comments are coming in fast and furious. I'm going to throw it to you guys and get out of your way. Coach B is closing deals in the comment section right now.
Awesome.
First Heritage Mortgage's finest. He is a reputable and trusted mortgage guy. Michael Puchensky says, in my humble opinion, every agent in the Carr and Central Virginia region should call every client in their portfolio and let them know about the 1% down program. There has been nothing like this out there in years. They now have a tool program to get first-time home buyers and repeat buyers excited again.
So that program will work with folks that are not first, because usually a program like that is going to be specifically for first-time
He
home
says,
buyer.
and repeat buyers.
Oh, good for that's awesome.
1% down, no mortgage insurance, conventional loans, 620 minimum credit, primary home only, max $350,000 loan amount, 80% AMI for income max. The point is, lenders are out there.
1% and no PMI. That is crazy.
Crazy. That is crazy right there. He's closing deals. Realtor is watching the program. That's on your radar from First Heritage Mortgage and Michael Buchensky. This comment comes in from John, is it Copulus? You might have to help me there.
Oh, John Copley, yeah.
He's an appraiser.
Yeah, up in New York.
Yeah, New York, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, he says, Woody, Jerry, and Candace, the buyers are there. The drops in interest rates will help tremendously. However, it's all about the sellers wrapping their heads around higher, lower interest rates and putting their homes on the market.
Right.
100% right.
Yeah.
We're talking about the lock-in effect, the golden handcuffs. 80% of American homeowners, depending on where you read, Redfin, I believe, had this stat, 80% of American homeowners have a rate of 4% or less on their primary residence. And as that number, that interest rate number gets into the sixes and maybe starts flirting with the high fives or mid fives somewhere in 2024, someone like me is going to consider, hey, I got a sub 4, let me try to capitalize on the equity we have, even though there's a point or a point and change of delta with the rate that we have on our current house and where we're going to go. I'm going to throw all that to you guys. Katie, why don't you go first? Anywhere you want to go on that topic matter.
Yeah, I like realistically what was going on before. People, whenever the big hype and home prices were crazy and there were so many buyers and all this stuff was really very alarming but people,
startling.
It was not comfortable, I'd say, for anyone involved. But people now that have, let's say, 3.5% or 4% or less interest on their home, they go, okay, well, you know what? Prices aren't overly crazy. We're not in bidding wars all the time. That still does happen. But you know what? We can actually get something in. And you know what? I saw a rate sheet the other day. It was buying down some points, but every number was in the sixes. So there, and like Coach B is saying as well, there are programs out there, and call your realtor, call your lenders, get in there and have that communication, because knowledge is power. And if you know what it realistically is, then for you as an individual, because there are a lot of people who qualify for way more and a way better rate than what they can imagine, because all they're doing is looking at a general statistic over a median. And if they haven't become one of those median statistics, then they're not accounted. So I have a lot of clients that are in the 5s and 6s naturally with their qualifications or their price range. So there's a lot of creativity. There's a lot of opportunity out there for people. And again, for buyers right now, I would suggest if you're ready, you're qualified, and you're looking to buy, now is a great opportunity to pounce on the things that come spring. Even I like to go through in properties that are off the market now may still be available. Have your realtor call and say, hey, we've been sitting on it, but we still keep thinking about that property, but now it's off the market. What's going on? Reach out and find out, because there still may be that opportunity for you to get in before the competition heats up.
What do you think, Woody?
I mean, it's
all seconds.
Most consumers are they don't think about real estate usually the way that, like, Jerry, you're going to, because you invest in real estate. I've been doing this for 25 years. I look at the time value of money is super important to me and what I do, and with Candy and what you guys do too. But your normal consumer may not be looking at it that way. They kind of look at it from, okay, I really want this in a house, and I can afford this much a month in my payment. That's really the majority of where they think of what they're going to be doing. As long as it fits their budget for their monthly, they're good with it. And so as we're having these small swings in interest rates, that very well could be, for the people that are at 5% right now, getting a little bit higher interest rate to get them into something that they really want, or to get into that school district they really want to get into. I can see it being a positive for the market overall. But then the rest of us that are all nerdy about it, we're looking at, well, I'm going to spend this much over the next 20 years with this interest rate. I think I'm just going to stay where I am. It just depends on your comfort level and getting into it. So
what would it take you, because if memory serves, you got something in the 2s.
Yeah, high 2. I'm
right?
2.9.
You said that on previous shows. What would it take an astute real estate, I'm going to cut straight to the chase, a sophisticated real estate expert, to jump off a high 2 fixed mortgage rate on your house? Your house, you are sitting on equity.
Right.
Significant equity.
Yep.
to put that in play?
Mrs. Fincham would have to say that she wants to move somewhere. She's very comfortable at Lake Monticello right now. I might, if Keith and Yona ever put their house up, I might consider buying that one.
Okay.
Yona, I'm on your team here. Keith's going to kill me when he gets back. But that's what Keith gets for sending me all these pictures of all the food he's eating.
I see that, yes. Right. It's 30 degrees here, and at 7 in the morning, Woody and I were on a text chain where people were in beach shirts. What do you call them on the island? The flower shirts at Parisian French restaurants. But Keith, we hope you guys are. It looks like you're having a blast. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Woody.
Well-deserved vacation at that.
Absolutely.
But honestly, if I was looking at it where we needed to move, or there was a utilitarian reason why we needed to move, I would be very reticent to jump in the market right now with where I am, even though we do have a decent equity position, meaning we'd have a good down payment on whatever we went into next. I'm very comfortable. I mean, when I look at what people are paying for a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath just in rent right now, and looking at what my mortgage payment is every month, I'm going, you know what? I don't know that I'll ever move. I'll never sell that piece of property, that's for sure. I mean, we may end up renting it and buying something else and cashing the equity out for a HELOC or something, but I don't think we'll ever get rid of that property. I mean, it's free money.
It's undoubtedly an asset. Do you want to touch on that question?
Well, I think the biggest thing is whenever the hype was happening and prices were just escalating and so competitive, there was nowhere for people to go. So like you said, if the floor plan and layout of your home and the function of your daily activity fit where you're residing, why else? It would have to be something ridiculous to get you to move. Usually grandkids, I hear, is the biggest factor. Divorce is another factor. Yeah. So growth of lifestyle or shrinking of lifestyle, those are usually the motivating things. Job, relocation. Heavens forbid some unexpected event occurs and you physically need to have a different style of living arrangement. So right now in proceeding, when the rates are a little better, thankfully and hopefully the prices will not escalate like they had been. They're really, chart-wise, whenever we look at graphs and that, if we didn't have this roller coaster going on, we're about where prices should be if it didn't do that and just kind of raise gradually, right? I don't know if your opinion.
Well, it's a perfect segue to what he does. I'll throw it to you in very simplistic terms. If rates drop this year, Buchensky does this for a living, and he's straight up saying we're looking at mid-5s in 2024. If we drop, we're talking 1.5 to 2 points from where we're at right now. And it puts a boatload of buyers in the market. Philip Dow's watching in Scottsville. He says this is going to be even more of a seller's market if we go into the mid-5s. We know that. Yeah. And if we get back into that bonanza, that frenzy that we saw during the pandemic, are we going to see, like we saw in the third quarter in Albemarle County, year-over-year value appreciation of 11% plus going into next year? Are we going to see that kind of appreciation with homes?
If we drop to the mid-5s, absolutely.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. We've got a lot of pent-up demand that's there because, your normal family or household is going to, they want to move every 3 or 4 years. That's usually the statistic. You know that better than I do.
Well, yesterday it actually...
Now it's up to 10.
Now it's a little... Because yesterday they had mentioned it.
It was 7. It was 7. Okay. Now it's at 10.
Yeah, we're a little
So
higher.
we're coming up... We're a couple years out, but people get that itch to move. And anybody who didn't move while the COVID market was going on, they're coming up on that itch to want to move. Like, I married an Army brat, when we first got together, it was like every 3 years, she's like, I want to move someplace.
Dude, if it wasn't for my wife, I would be moving every 2 years. You stay for 2 years because of the capital gains exposure. You see this with the builders around town. They build a home, they live in it for 2 years, and they sell it. Yep. I would do the same damn thing.
I love my clients that have that same mindset.
Didn't you grow?
Please call me again.
I know.
Hasn't been 2 years yet. No.
But aren't you from a similar background?
Yeah.
A builder daughter?
My former husband, Justin, his dad, Craig Vanderland, and Pete, they owned Vanderland Homes. And Derek and Bruce had, the tile, so it comes from a construction background, for 20 plus years, and knowing specifically Forest Lakes and the communities that were built in those, late 90 period, early 2000s. I started touring around Charlottesville and learning to get to know the area and the construction and the development. Really, shout out to good friend Mark, Contour Construction. I think he's moved more dirt around this town than anybody. So, there's a lot of connection in my driving background in my childhood was construction from the worker's perspective. You know, every one of my mom's 9 siblings were contractors, so I was spending my time, free time on job sites, building walls, doing roofing, doing plumbing.
That's my childhood as well.
Oh, I love it. But yeah, I totally got off of where we were right there. But,
the appreciation.
My thing, you know what? I am an optimistic. I love to see all of the horrendous things that can erupt and fall apart and go wrong, so I can be prepared for plan, F or wherever we are down the line. But being optimistic and going, okay, here's our goal. Let's go for that. Let's aim for it. Mr. Barber, my wonderful, wonderful teacher in elementary school. I adore him. He had a thing, if you aim at nothing, you will hit it. So let's aim for the best. Let's aim for the most opportunistic and optimistic outcome. And my thing is, you know what? People are pent up. Good. I can't repeat it again. Go back on
If you aim at nothing, you will hit it. I'm putting that in my notes.
It's similar to what, having an English family background. You hope for the best and prepare for the worst. Mm-hmm. That's just a more depressed way of saying it. What you just said.
Well, kind of, along those lines too. You still plant the garden. Yeah. You don't know if there's going to be a drought. You don't know if there's going to be a flood. Sure. You still got to plant those seeds though, and water it and care for it and nurture it and hope that you can then feed and grow and adapt to whatever is in the future, right? So you got to go for it. So my thing is, because of all this, we're back to 2019 times, 2017 times, as far as a professional in this industry. And looking at, there's going to be more communication about options and opportunity with all of our colleagues and affiliates. There's more opportunity now for a realtor to show our worth and our care and our efforts and our expertise with this process to help our clients. And there are so many of my clients that wanted to move and list their home. That would be a great listing for so many buyers that are out there looking. However, they had nowhere to go. And with the interest rates so low and the prices escalating so high, I'm very hopeful that, if we can get in the 6s in that and maybe the high 5s, that's great opportunity for people, but realistically, we should not be in the 3s. It's unattainable and unsustainable.
Yeah, Walt Davis Hall watching the program. He's a realtor watching the show right now. Sarah Buchensky, welcome to the show. We'll get to your viewers and listener comments here in a matter of moments. New York. John from New York is giving you some props right now to Candace specifically. You're going to love this. She goes, Candy has an excellent aura in the comments section right now. I concur.
I'll take referrals, please.
She's trying to close some
I'm like
deals.
Frank Balliff here. Oh my gosh, this is horrible.
Lane, is it Duplechin?
Duplechin, yeah.
Duplechin, watching the show here. 4 states on the feed and a handful of firms in Central Virginia watching Real Talk right now on this show. We want to get back to the price appreciation. If Buchensky's right and we're in the 5s, you're straight up calling double-digit appreciation 2024 over 2023? So this is compounded on the double-digit appreciation.
It's most likely going to happen.
We saw in 2023 versus 2022.
Yeah.
Compound double-digit appreciation.
Well, we have very finite inventory on the market. So small amount of supply, a lot of demand. You put the purchasing power back out there to the consumer. You're dropping them, 1.5%, whatever it's going to be at. If you get into the mid 5s, low 5s, it's going to be another shot of steroids to buyers, and it'll get super competitive again. Diligence will probably go back out the window.
Good night.
I can't tell you how many times I would see on social media where listing agents were literally taking a cell phone and doing a live feed, walking through the house.
And there was a dozen offers.
And they couldn't. You couldn't bring the consumer into the property. They would do, like here in Charlottesville, they would do what they would call a pre-listing or a broker pre-listing showing, where they would.
It was a coming soon.
Yeah, and it would just be brokers and agents going through the property with their phones, and they would have multiple offers all over what they were going to list it at, and it's super competitive. I don't know that we'll get back to that crazy of a market.
Hopefully not.
I hope not, because it's really not in the consumer's favor to do that. But I do think that at mid-5s, we're definitely going to be looking at a market on steroids.
And that would be healthy enough, though, if people are motivated, because going from somebody sitting there with the home that they don't really have to leave, it fits their lifestyle, it fits their needs, it's in a location that's great, they have no need to move, but they're like, you know what, I've been wanting to move for like 5 years, and now's the time. You know, I'm very hopeful and optimistic that that's going to be more of the mindset, because if they're at a 2.5, a 3, going to something different that is now a 5.5. It's not as bad as going to 8.
Oh, for sure.
I do want to mention too, though, you know, just for our public and everything like that. So the coming soon process, there is no showing allowed for the general public in that. So when you call your realtor and go, yeah, but I see the coming soon sign in the yard, there are very legal specifications as to the brokerage. Now there could be 1,000 people in your, well, there aren't 1,000. There could be 100 people in the brokerage, or there could be 10 people in the brokerage, and that information may be acceptable. There are laws, though, appropriate.
Right? The brokerage can see it. Am I wrong on that?
I want to say yes.
Okay.
Who knows what may be
I
coming
think
around
they
the
were
corner.
calling it a
but-
broker preview.
That's-
Is what they
yeah.
were calling it.
Yeah.
And I think as long as it's not it's not being pre-shown to consumers.
Consumers, right.
I
But
think that's
you
the
know, the
caveat.
thing too, though, and I take advantage of this, of course. Sometimes, you know, coming soon is not always in my favor, but doing the, you know, I can see what you're saying too. You know, doing the video.
Facebook
this
Live.
property's coming soon,
Yeah.
and then you get offers with a sight unseen contingency.
Yep.
You know, so that was definitely happening, and hopefully that will not.
Or it
happen
could be
again.
like, you know, 90% of the real estate that transfers in Farmington, you know, those folks,
Yes, yeah.
it
They've
never
already
hits
seen
the
it.
market. It's just like, hey, you know, I'm getting ready to move. They call one of the brokers that works out there normally, and before you know it, every broker that works out there knows about it, and you know, you've got a transaction. Transaction has happened and it's closed.
This is a great
Yeah.
question from John, who's in the game in New York. The owners, is it Copulus and Associates?
Yeah.
He says the refi market should also explode for appraisers and loan reps. When do the folks who locked in 7% plus start thinking refi? And I could just see John, and he didn't post this in the comment section, but I could just see him in upstate New York going like this with his hands, because he knows the refi business is going to take off. If you see a 2-point swing in rates, people are going to jump off 7.5 plus and try to get in the 5.5 game, which means business for you guys, business for the Buchenskis of the world. That's a great topic we should talk about.
Yeah, and it's a welcome thing for a lot of appraisal firms across the country. I have a lot of colleagues right now that do almost exclusively lending work, and you know, it's never a good idea to put all your eggs in one basket.
Because the refi market has been
It's
ice
done.
cold.
Yeah, I mean,
ice cold.
we're still doing some, but it's usually going to be strategic things like, you know, kids getting ready to go to college, or they need to do a remodel, or something's happened in their life where they need to. It's cheaper for them to do that than to put it on their, you know, their credit card or whatever. So they take advantage of it that way. But refis otherwise are done. I mean, 3 years ago I would do a refi in January for a lender. The same lender would call me back 8 months later. The market's gone up almost double digits at that point for that property, and they're cashing out more money at that point. And you know, you go back to the house and there's a new Corvette sitting in the driveway, or an RV or something like that, which, you know, you shouldn't use your equity for toys, but it does happen.
Especially depreciating assets that when you drive them off the lots drop 40% in value. But
Yeah.
It's just my personal.
I mean, I'm not kidding you, Jerry. We would do some. Sometimes we would, over a 2 or 3 year period, we might do the same house 3 or 4 times for a refi, and it's just like, wow, you know. I mean, it's none of my business what they're doing. It's they're
At that point, the house becomes underwater, doesn't it?
it could, yeah. I mean, a lot of that was going on pre-2008, and you look at where we ended up.
Right.
Well, I'm really curious, and I don't know this answer. I'm putting it out there. Hopefully one of the viewers will write in, or Woody, you can speak on behalf. You know, price for materials, Blue Ridge Home Builders Association, and looking at, I'm curious if pre-spring market, if people are going to be putting in the effort and updates to then sell their homes at this, desirable price, or if they're going to, continue to just try to market their homes with the deferred maintenance that they're currently living with.
I think it's going to, you guys are the experts. I think it's going to be market and try to sell their homes with deferred maintenance to try to capitalize on a deeper buyer pool that's interested in lower rates and is willing to overlook warts on homes just because they're itching to get a house.
I'm seeing that all the time still.
Inherently,
Yeah.
we're lazy.
Well, no, I mean, look at it. It's a leverage position. I mean, if you're a
Or
seller,
that, okay.
you're a seller in a market with no inventory. I mean, why would you spend a lot of extra money that you're not going to recuperate? It's not going to make you sell it for any more unless you're in a situation where there is a little bit of inventory in that particular subdivision or market, or the level of deferred maintenance is at a level that, someone's going to have to drop, 5% of the value of the home into it to make it habitable. I mean, I've got several right now that we've just looked at for sales transactions, and every one of them, for the most part, they need new carpet. They no paint, and a decade inside, and it's then they're paying premium prices for it. So.
Well, I see, a lot, again, working with the different buyers in the surrounding counties, it really does tend to be what I see, maybe because that's more of my focus, is, if the bones are solid, again, looking at Forest Lakes, looking at Spring Creek, looking at these different communities we have, instead of just a single family home on a random road type of situation. We have so many communities and so many different price points that were built realistically from the 70s to, early 2000s or so, in that range. Things like, if there's Quest plumbing, if the roof hasn't been replaced, if there's dead trees all around that are potential hazards, the driveway or access isn't acceptable.
Or the HVAC's 20 years old.
Foundation is parging or bulging. So things like that, I see that buyers are far less willing to accept than, carpet, well, we were going to put in the contiguous flooring anyway. We'll get this great rate with First Heritage Mortgage and, put in the carpet afterwards because we didn't have to put in so much of our down payment.
Right.
So I think there are going to be some different opportunities for people to look at, as long as the function, safety, structural, the integrity of the home is solid and up to par, Pearl's come in and done their thing, and you've got this well-insulated or well-maintained property on those big ticket items, then going in the cosmetic stuff, it really isn't that challenging. I'm seeing a lot of buyers, though, that are still like, well, yeah, we'll keep looking. So maybe when the prices come down, those opportunities will be more motivated to jump on.
Walt Davis Hall is looking to sell his dad's house right now in the comments section. He's got his dad's home listed in the comments section of my personal page. He unfortunately passed away. Our thoughts and sympathy and empathy to your family, Walt. He said, I'm selling my dad's house. Here's the link. It needs some TLC, but we're motivated sellers. 462 Horseshoe Mountain Road in Roseland, Virginia, with a $497 asking price. I like it. I like the new age version of moving and shaking over here by the folks watching our program. This is a fantastic question. It's right down the street in North Downtown. One of our favorite viewers and listeners, Grayson, says, so does the panel think it's going to be at the same frenzy we saw during COVID? I understand that it may not because the rates are not sub 4. They're talking 5 or a little higher in 2024. But to the point Jerry's made in previous shows, the population is increasing, and we keep getting these national awards that are driving more people that are new to the area with a lot of money to the area. That's a great comment.
Yeah, it really is. And, going back to Einstein, everything's relative, right? So the lower the rate goes, the more intense the buying power is going to be for the consumer base. And I think that'll be, the lower that rate goes will work in conjunction with how fervor the market's going to get. So if it drops below 5.5, I think it'll get crazy. If it's between 5.5 and 6, it'll be less crazy.
Below 5.5 to the crazy that we saw in 2022?
Maybe, because the one thing that we can't metric, and Candy and real estate agents and brokers can speak to this more than I do because they're consumer forward where we're not as an appraiser, but there is pent-up demand out there. But what level of pent-up demand it really is there? And if there's a tremendous amount of it, if you go down 1.5 close to 2 points, I think it's steroids again.
And why, I'll echo that, what I think will also happen, then I'll get out of the way, and Candace and Woody, you jump back in. If it goes, look at what the national media did. The national media dampened the real estate market by their, what's the word I'm looking for when you go over the top? Hyperbole?
Hyperbolic.
Hyperbolic coverage of what Powell was doing. They kept the rate increases and the quick nature of the rate increases in the national news cycle for so long that it spooked the market. Granted, that's what Powell wanted to happen, the market to get spooked. Then the national media really took it to a different level. If rates drop 1.5 to 2 points, the national media will do the same type of coverage, and they're going to throw kindling on the fire.
Yep.
Irresponsible journalism is a horrible thing. Because here's the thing with our society now, we are 24 hours or less for our media cycles. So anything that happens, whether, we're talking about Ukraine or Israel, or we're talking about the market, the rates and all that, everybody becomes an expert like that.
Yep.
And most folks aren't an expert on these types of things, but because the media is feeding them, they think that they've got a basis to make these types of decisions.
Credentials, PhDs.
Yeah, for sure. And going back to Keith's old thing of trusted professionals, find people that you can trust, that you can work with, and listen to what they're doing. Real estate's extremely local. It's hyper-local. And what's going on in Charlottesville doesn't reflect what's going on in the national news. Those are two completely different things.
Yeah. I think I imagine it, with what had happened and why it got so crazy is because we knew it was going there. Lawrence Yun visits, occasionally, is amazing, chief economist for our national association. But he, realistically, we did this. We got to a point and then we skyrocketed to the next step. And then we skyrocketed to the next step.
The perfect storm.
It just, and then, coming down in rates, it just skyrocketed down, and going up in rates, it jumped up really high. Instead of a gradual, you don't teach a baby how to climb a stair that's twice its height. You teach it on a smaller level. So hopefully we will gradually reduce. The best thing about this, what I can see though, is all this new construction we have around the area and our surrounding counties. Like Woody said, this is a very local, individualized market compared to nationally, compared to even statewide, right? We're very different than Hampton Roads. We're very different than Northern Virginia, than Richmond, than Chesterfield, than western parts of Virginia. So looking locally, we have amazing opportunities from Fishersville and Waynesboro and that area for people to look at buying reasonably priced homes at these great interest rates, or maybe moving from the city because it's too much and you don't go downtown like you used to, or you don't do that, your kids aren't in school anymore. So you can move to a subdivision or a community that's more your pace at this stage of life, into one of our surrounding areas. So Louisa, where Spring Creek is, Zion's Crossroads. One of my wonderful clients, he's an amazing person and salesperson, but he was saying, Columbia, for example, was on the docket to be the capital, and Richmond won over. But this is a place that's just 10 minutes from Zion's Crossroads. The river, the amenities we have naturally occurring in this area, the mountains and the attraction, you can really diversify and expand your horizon. So I think with all the abundant new construction that, and what I look at it as, when weather is not permitting certain things to chemically harden and seal and dry, you can't do those things. Mother Nature is going to rule over that option. So whenever people can't put a road, they can't do a sidewalk, certain things can't be done with new construction. Well, when it finishes, it's been 18 months people have been waiting in a lot of cases. Well, now they're going to list their home within 2 or 3 months before they move. Well, they know when they have to leave. They have a motivated time frame. They have a specific goal attached with their movement. And with new construction in abundance in all of our surrounding areas, Stannardsville is so beautiful with the mountains and everything, and there's some great properties. A lot of people go, you know what, I want to move out to the country, and I want to do this and that. So I think that as the hype happens, hopefully we'll baby crawl down the stairs versus, kicking them off the edge. We get back to a price that's appropriate for people to make the movement confidently, and also new construction in the surrounding areas, growth in value for school systems, value for roadways and shopping centers. When a Starbucks comes in, you're doing something right. Growing the after school and the fun time and the attractions for people to want to live in the community, that's where our municipalities and our tax dollars really go to work, having great parks and recreation, and getting people to see, you know what, it's a 27-minute drive, but there's 3 different ways I could get there, and I'm going to enjoy my time. I had one client, it was funny, he goes, I miss out on my podcasts. Like, I don't have a drive to work anymore because I work right there, so I need to listen to podcasts more. I'm going to move across the valley so I have time to do that.
God, I burn up my podcast. I do about 80,000 miles a year in my Subaru. So yeah, it's.
And if you're looking for podcast suggestions, Real Talk with Keith Smith for the I Love SeaWorld show. Just
Nice
to name
segue.
a couple. Mazi Vogler watching the program. Closings are happening every single day. There are always people looking to buy and sell in 2024. Let's effing go, she says, with the exclamation point. That's Real Estate 3's finest. Mazi Vogler watching the show. Philip Dow says folks need to prepare for anything in the coming year because anything could happen. That's a strong comment right there. This comment's coming in from Jennifer, who's watching in Crozet, and she says Crozet is absolutely red hot. We routinely get folks knocking on our door looking to buy our house, and we haven't even put the word out there that we're trying to sell our house. Nikki Clark, welcome to the program. Lane Duppelchin.
Duplichin, yeah.
Dubelchin.
Yeah.
Hello. Thank you kindly for watching. 6 firms on the broadcast as we speak. About 6 minutes left on the talk show here. Woody Fincham, I'll throw the first quarter predictions to you. Let's cut to the chase here. It's December 8th.
Yeah.
The likelihood of something closing in 2023 is getting pretty slim unless it's a quick close in all cash.
Yeah, it's going to be an anomaly. It was already in the pipeline to close, and
Right.
most folks don't want to close right around the
The holidays.
Yeah.
So we're looking at deals that are now materializing in 2024 when it comes to the data that you and I like to study, like Candace likes to study.
Yeah.
So first quarter predictions and then second quarter predictions for the viewers and listeners.
If the rates continue doing what they're doing, we're going to start seeing even more demand. Particularly as we get into March and then into late February, March, and then early April. That's traditionally when the market naturally starts to really heighten as far as volume goes. And it works out for families, households that have kids. They want to move their kids. They want to do it during the school year. So you get another contract in April, you close it in June after school's out, and then you move. So I think we're going to continue. If everything remains status quo the way it is right now, with no major economic issues, no major international things stepping in and causing a panic, we're going to continue to hum along really well. Charlottesville is a wonderful place to live. I love it here. I was born and raised in Hampton Roads, but unless something changes here, I will never go back. I love it here.
Mm-hmm.
We got a little bit of insulation. Candace, show is yours.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's, why I love it here as well. The beauty, the serenity, the amenities, the amount of attractive, places to go with your loved ones or by yourself with your favorite furry friend. We offer so much here, so it's no wonder that everybody is attracted to it and wanting to come. I'd say, looking at it, I would suggest, realistically, looking at 2024, if you're in a position where you want to buy or sell, or do both, sometimes you got to sell to buy, really be honest with yourself, be honest with your realtor, be communicative, and make sure you tell your realtor to be honest with you. Because sometimes people want to be nice or this and that, but you know what? Having as Pat Burns would say, the truth is never inappropriate. And being realistic about the expectations and the goals.
Love that.
Yeah, it was always good.
She's full of quotes
Maybe
today.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'm full of it all the
No, that
time.
one's good. The truth is never.
Yeah,
I'm
Pat
writing
Burns,
that one down too.
The truth is never inappropriate.
I like
Just be realistic about where you want to be and what your goals are and why those are your goals. The why, Simon Sinek, Elizabeth Mendenhall, thank you so much for all of your words of motivation and encouragement. But why are you doing these things? And consider that when you're looking at, a slight difference in location, price, concessions, condition, and making sure that things tangibly work out and will appraise and that your lender and you are confident and comfortable. One of those things too, I always tell my people, the individuals acquiring the loan, or the financing option have to also meet the property that you're looking at. So a property with 1%, no PMI, 1% down, no PMI, attractive as can be, under 350. Well, let's make sure you know that it doesn't have restrictions on size of lot or condition of number of structures or different things like that, land use and zoning. So make sure that with all of these things, there are little asterisks, so make sure that you talk to your professionals, ask questions, be knowledgeable, get that power, and yeah, let's rock and roll. I won't say what the quote was.
All right, this is a fantastic show. Time flies when you're having fun. The hardest question I'm going to ask you both right now. What are your weekend plans?
My wife and I are going to go up to Linden, the vineyard at Linden. Jim Law, who, if anybody knows anything about Virginia wine, Jim is the godfather of Virginia wine. And they're doing their yearly release. We're part of their club there, so we're going to go up and spend Sunday there. And otherwise, tomorrow I'm doing a lot of paperwork.
Candace, your weekend plans? I'm sure you got a lot going on.
Oh, always. Well, my thankfully I have the opportunity to. My daughter is very, very engaged in all animals. She wants to work at the pet hotel, as she says.
Was that the one that was with you yesterday?
Yeah,
she's a cutie.
As I said, she's been working with me for 6.5 years now because that's her age. But Christine with Double C Ranch at Yule Farm. Her horses are the most unbelievable. You have, 10 screaming kids petting this foal, and the thing is just loving it up. So I get to go out and help with the horses and see my daughter and do some riding and that. So appreciate that opportunity to do that. And then I'm not going to say what I'm doing, but I am having Santa's elves helping me this weekend, preparing for some things that will be finalized Christmas Eve, likely.
Thank goodness Santa and Mrs. Claus that uses Amazon. So
yes, they do.
Fantastic. They have fantastic.
We need a gift wrapping party.
Plans for the weekend. The show was fun. I had a blast. Did you guys have fun? It was fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Candace, you are tailor-made for this talk show. Woody Fincham, the professor, tailor-made for this talk show. Judah Wickower keeps us on air. The show is archived at realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. Keith is back, I believe, a week from Monday. He's in St. Martin with his family. This is a talk show where we did exactly what we wanted to do. We adapted to your comments and your questions from 5 states, viewers and listeners, offering perspective here. John, I really want to highlight you in New York for doing a great job of shaping the show. And same with you, Mike Buchensky of First Heritage Mortgage. The I Love Seville show is up in 1 hour. Thank you kindly for joining us on Real Talk. So long, everybody. That was excellent. And he's going to tell us when the mics and cameras are off.